everybody, and thank you for joining us this wonderful Tuesday for another session of VA success stories. And today I'm so excited to have Danielle Ralston joining us, who is, she runs an agency called Organized Operations. And from what I understand, Danielle, you'll tell us a little bit more about you a little bit later on, but you've been a serial entrepreneur. You've started like 9 businesses. You've eventually settled on growing a virtual assistant / OBM agency. And that sounds like an amazing journey. And what we're here to kind of talk about today is what that journey looked like for you, from starting as a solopreneur, as a one-woman show, to growing into this amazing 7-figure agency, Organized Operations, that you're running right now. And yeah, what that journey looked like for you, what challenges did you face, and all of that goodness, because we're all kind of chomping at the bit to kind of learn a little bit more about you. And from what I understand, you're in Birmingham, Alabama. And yeah, I'm excited to dig into your story. So do tell us a little bit, Danielle, about how you kind of eventually got started. What was it like in the beginning for you?
So in the beginning for me, I was a young mom. I was 21. Daycare was ridiculously expensive. My husband and I were too young to have to afford daycare. So I had to figure out how to make some money from home to help with the bills, because being a single income family is really hard. And this was 20 something years ago. But online businesses really weren't a thing then. They totally, like, the internet was still AOL dial up, and hopefully everybody understands what that is. So I had to start doing something, and I was a secretary for years. I worked for HP and was a tech. I did IT. So I'm like, oh, I could do that from home. So that's where I started, which was being people's secretaries, going into their offices a couple hours a week and just doing some stuff. I was a virtual assistant, not quite virtual, but that's where I started 20 something years ago, and has slowly just learned I could work online. I worked for an IT company for a while and then became a partner, and we grew a multi-million-dollar IT business. And the stress of working in tech is ridiculous, and I couldn't do it anymore. So I started a VA business. I'm like, I could do that again. That's easy. I could do it completely from home. This isn't a problem. And because I do have a degree, I have my MBA, I have a marketing degree, I'm a project manager. I am ADHD, so I have like 14 skill sets. But I spent a lot of time learning about those. I did Udemy and Teachable and Skillshare, and everything that I could learn, I kept learning all of these skills. And I think that was one of the biggest things that I can suggest for somebody is keep learning. I actually have part of my schedule, and everybody who works for me has this on their schedule. They spend 1 day a week learning.
I love that. So a whole day learning. I can only manage like an hour a week. Maybe I'll block it out on my calendar, but a whole day learning sounds like a dream, honestly.
So one of the biggest things that I found by doing that is, one, I stay up on whatever the algorithms are doing for social media, whatever Google's changing in SEO, whatever YouTube is doing now or TikTok is doing now, or whatever, you can spend the time. In general, I don't think any of us spend 1 day learning one thing, but we just spend a day learning whatever it is that, one, piques our interest, or two, allows us to keep growing our business. Everybody that works for me, with the exception of 2 people, they own their own businesses themselves. They're all VAs. They're all tech VAs or OBMs or graphic designers or whatever. So learning helps you grow your business. If you're not constantly investing in that learning piece, you're not going to scale well, because I swear to you, everything changes every 3 weeks.
Oh yeah. It's really hard to keep up. And unless you're intentional about learning it, it's going to pass you by, and you're going to skip steps, and it's going to run away from you. I completely agree.
So that was one of the biggest things that I learned in being able to scale my business. So I'm always learning. I'm always investing. And I think this was because I started so long ago. One of the biggest things I learned is when I tried to DIY things or bootstrap things is when I wasn't able to grow as quickly or do as well with growth. This time around, when I started this business, which was almost 5 years ago now, I set out an intention that I do the rule of thirds for my business. A third goes to me in my pocket. The first third of everything that comes in every month goes to me. The second third invests back in my business. So that could be hiring a web designer if I need it. That could be software. That could be learning something, whatever that is. And then obviously, because I'm self-employed, I have to pay taxes. So a third goes back into taxes. And that's actually worked really well for me over the last 20 something years for doing that. But this last 5 years doing that, I've actually tipped the scales a little bit. I decided to take a little less for myself at first, which was hard. It was so hard. But it paid off in less than 90 days.
Oh, perfect.
Because I wasn't trying to do it all myself.
Can we take it back to the very, very beginning? So you started out, you were self-employed from let's say around 2000.
1997.
1997. Okay, so the internet was not really too much of a massive thing back then. Definitely you couldn't do what you can do now back then. So when did and you worked for an IT company, you started your own IT company as well.
Yes.
And once you moved away from that, you decided you wanted to be a virtual assistant. You wanted to go back to assisting. So when you made that, so what made you make that decision? You said you were stressed out with IT. Yeah. So how did that feel to you to kind of, was it a risky decision to make? Was it,
it was absolutely a risky decision. Cause I was going from making 6-figure income. I was working 90 hours a week, and no, I'm not kidding. I was really working that many hours a week. It was stressful. It was 24/7 some days. So 6-figure income was not worth it anymore. My son was grown and gone at that point. It was time to not be doing that anymore. So going to working for myself, that was a risk because I hadn't been in the online space in that area. And so at all, I've never done that. I had all the skills. The IT company, I was doing all the marketing. I was doing all of the email marketing and the website work. And I was doing all of those things. So could I do it? Yes. But now I was going to have to do it for myself and promote myself in a very different way than I'd ever had to do before. The nice thing about my IT world is I'd been in it so long that I didn't have to do any marketing for us at all. I just went to a conference every year. We had our clients for the year. But now I had to go back to square one. And when I did that, I was like, okay, I can't do this on my own, and make money fast. There was just no way. Even though I have the skills and I had a portfolio of 100 websites I built for customers and things like that in the IT world. I no, I need to hire that out so it gets done and gets done now. I need to hire somebody to write all my copy for my website, so I'm not debating on that. So the first $100 I brought in, I hired somebody to do one page. The second $100 I brought in, I hired somebody to do that next page. And I was really balancing that investment piece so fast. But because I did that, within a year, I was hiring my first VA to work under me so that I could scale. And I set out to scale because I knew that I couldn't. You can only take on so much work when you are the person doing the work. You have a limit to that. There is a defined limit to that. Because if you don't have a defined limit and you don't have boundaries, then you end up burnout, stressed out, and not able to keep going. And it's why so many businesses close.
Absolutely. Or people burn out. Yeah, absolutely. If anybody has any questions for Danielle, the chat is open. Please feel free to put your comments, your questions, and we will absolutely get to them. This is just a casual conversation. We're all kind of here to learn from each other. So if you've got any questions, no stupid questions, just please go ahead and put them in the chat. So it's interesting that you invested straight away, because for a lot of new business owners, it's hard to let go of that money that comes in that you're relying on to live on. You took it and put it straight back in your business. You hired web designers. How did you feel comfortable doing that? How did you know your business would succeed? Yeah. It wasn't.
It was not comfortable in any. I think that's something that when you invest, it'll come back to you. We hear all those pretty quotes and all of that, and let me tell you, it's terrifying to do that when you have to make money, you have to bring it in. But I also, being in the business, I've been in business long enough that I know that if you're not doing that it takes you 10 times longer to do anything. It takes 10 times the amount of time, and time is money. So yeah, the pain was very short term because I was able, I'll answer your question in just a second. So what are your top tips for scaling? So knowing that I wanted to scale, I knew I had to invest immediately because I did not want to end up burnout again. That was number one. I was already burnout. I literally caused myself a brain injury due to stress. And yes, that is possible. So
I didn't know that.
This was not something I was going to do long-term by myself. It could not happen. And I was just turned 40 at that point, I'm like, I need to be able to retire. And I can't keep going at this pace. It's just not going to happen. And my doctors were telling me, you need to not work at all. I'm like, well, I can't do that either. I have to pay the bills. So I had to dive in. I'm like, well, okay, it's going to hurt for a little while longer. So ramen noodles and Kraft macaroni and cheese and hot dogs for a little while. Let's get going. And we shut off our internet. My husband is amazing. He really supports me a lot, and that does help. That's a major piece of why I've been able to do this. But knowing that I wanted to scale, I had to invest. I had to hire people, because if I had to do it myself, a website while you're doing client work is going to take you weeks to get done. I hired somebody to do it, and Monday morning it was done because I didn't get anything expensive. And I think that's one of the biggest things is I didn't go to brand strategy. Is brand strategy important if you're going to scale? Yes, but it's not the first thing I did. The first thing I did is had a website built.
Oh, but okay, that's amazing. The first thing you did was have your website built, but did you already have at that point an idea of what kind of you were going to offer, what your packages looked like, what your rates were? You didn't have any of that figured out. So what did your website have on it?
My website had a homepage that explained who I was and what my skill list was. That's all it had on it, and how to contact me. And I used Calendly to schedule a call with me. And I got on Upwork. I had my resume and I went on Upwork and I started pounding the pavement on Upwork. And within a week I had a client on Upwork.
Yeah.
It was a very small client, and I think I was getting paid $15 an hour to do something really stupid. I don't even remember what it was now, but it was my first client, and she gave me a great review, which meant it was easier to get the next client, So I stayed on Upwork for the first year, and that's the only place I looked for clients. Well, I built a skills list and reviews.
Love it. So would you recommend people start on Upwork now?
Yes. Upwork is now there are some rules that go with Upwork that if you follow them, you will succeed on Upwork. Because I hear some people, I've got scammed on Upwork. Well, you have to have a really defined skill list. If you don't know what your skills are, you're going to easily find those really, really, really terrible clients. And we all had the terrible clients. I just fired a terrible client last week. I've been at this a while, and I still had to fire a terrible client last week. It happens. But when you have a defined list of skills and boundaries of what you're willing to do, I think that's one of the biggest things that I see when I'm talking, because I do coach people now. When I'm talking to people just starting out, is they don't set boundaries of what they are and aren't willing to do. They're willing to get, the client will say, well, you might not know how to do this, but let's do it anyway. And then the client gets ticked because you don't know how to do the thing. Well, I told you I didn't know how to do the thing. But having boundaries and no, I don't know how to do that. And if you want me to still do it, then let's sign a contract for this specific thing. Contracts are your best friend. And I don't care if it's a free contract that you found online, and every new thing that somebody wants to do gets a new contract. I think because that makes your clients realize you're serious about this. And that's a pretty big deal. Even though I will tell you those free contracts don't protect you a ton, they are perceived as you're very serious about what you're doing.
Absolutely. It makes you look really professional. And it's a document that you can refer to that lists out what you will and won't do, your rates, your cancellation policy. It's just a document that proves that you both have agreed to these terms, whether it's like it's going to protect you in the future or not. It's just a document that houses everything you've agreed on. So absolutely. And what I was going to say before around knowing what you want to do and what you don't want to do, the boundaries there, knowing what you definitely don't want to do is just as important as knowing what you want to offer and what you do want to do. Because especially when you're a new virtual assistant, don't you find like you want to just say yes to everybody because you'll just work for anyone who'll pay you, right? But you just have to know that if it doesn't feel right, if it's something that you don't want to do, you're going to resent that client, you're going to resent the work, and it's going to just suck up too much of your time. So if
you're going to end up
burning out completely. So when did you kind of figure out what you did want to offer as a service, and how did you figure out your pricing?
So it took me about 3 months. I worked at whatever I could find on Upwork. I just took everything because I wasn't sure. And this is where Upwork excels at it. You can just go, oh, that's in my skill list. I can take that. And oh, that's that. I can do that. And I can do that. Take a variety. I think that was one of the best things I did was I took a variety of work. And then I went, oh, I hated, and I kept a list of every single thing I did. I write everything down. And as I'm doing it, I had a highlighter next to me all the time. Anything orange, I hated doing it. Everything on the list. Oh, I hated doing this. This was tedious. Or, oh, I love doing this, but this took me a long time. This took me about twice as long as I thought it would. And just keeping detailed notes on that for a few months. Because that allowed me to go, this is what I'm good at. This is my sweet spot. This is where I need to be. Now, I had 20 something years of experience doing a lot of those things. So I was able to go, I'm not a low level VA. I'm not charging $15 anymore. I went directly. I took a look. So this is what are Danielle's top tips for scaling. So this is where that comes in. The first thing as I did is I took a look what other VAs were charging for those same skills. And I said, okay, if I want to hire a VA to do these things for me, I have to pay them this. Which means I also have to still be making money. So how do I do that? What do I need to charge? And it helps when you have the MBA next to your name. And I'm not going to lie that having those titles or certifications, which let me tell you, Udemy is one of the best places to get some certifications. So you've got some things next to your name and watch the sales for Udemy. Don't pay full price ever at Udemy because they'll have $130 like certification course. And depending on the month, you can get it for $10. So just watch those sales, people. But get some certifications next to your name because they allow you to jack that price up a little bit.
That's a good
people who are like, oh, no. You don't need certifications to be good. No, you don't. But your perception of being good at something is better to your ideal customer when you have those certifications next to your name. That's a really big deal in the online world because perception is better than reality 90% of the time. Now, as far as hiring people, don't always take those certifications because sometimes perception is better than reality. But I took a look at who I would want to hire. I started getting into the Facebook groups and talking to people and getting to know people, networking. I started bartering with people. This was part of my scale process. I started bartering with people. Oh, I need this done. Let's work together because I am looking to build a partnership. I'll do this for you. You do this for me. Let's see if we can work well together. Bartering when you're first starting out is easy. It's huge. It gives you something. They get something too. It's very mutual. You write each other reviews, which also helps you boost your Facebook algorithm by having reviews. And then you can say, okay, so this is the type of skill set I'm looking in the people I want to hire. This is what they charge. Okay. Take a step back. This is what I need to earn. So if somebody was going to charge 20, I needed to charge 50 because one, I had to cover those credit card costs and any administrative costs. And two, I needed to make what they were making. My goal is 40 to 50% profit on every hour that somebody works. And generally online, somewhere between 30 to 40% is normal. Again, I have that MBA next to my name and I have 4 college degrees next to my name. So I can charge a little bit more. We are now in the $100 an hour because most of my VAs are in the $40 to $50 an hour range. Wow. So we charge $100 an hour because I need to make that same amount of money and I have to invest back in the business. And I've had people who wanted to work for me. Well, that's not fair. How come you're charging that much and not giving me more? I'm the one that's taking the risk. I'm the one that has the insurance. I'm the one that's paid for the website, and I pay for the marketing, and I pay for the Facebook ads, the YouTube ads. And then that person never gets hired again after that conversation, because if they don't understand how business works, then why are you in an online business?
They don't have to work with you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But kind of be looking at some of those attitudes that goes with hiring people too, because that is a big misperception, I think, in the online world was, well, if you're bringing money in, you should be paying me what you're earning. I'm taking the risk. I have a lot of risk in. If a client does a chargeback 6 months from now, I paid you for the work. And that does nothing.
Can I ask so your rates are $100 an hour when they hire through you. So what kind of things do you offer for $100 an hour?
So we are a full service VA, OBM, and digital marketing team. We have copywriters, graphic designers. We have people that do general VA work. We have people that do high level operations, project management, chief operating officer. So we do have COOs. We do not have a CFO because the insurance behind that is a very different thing, but I do partner with the CFO and accountant. We have people who do coding. We have a web team who will code a custom website, as well as we have web design teams who use like Divi and Elementor and things like that. Email marketing, copywriting for websites. So we literally, if it has to do with your online business, we do it. We have sales funnel teams and all kinds of. So we have like I said, there are 14 people. 2 people are full-time and paid W-2 employees. The rest are all contractors. And I will go look for somebody. If somebody asks for something that we don't offer, but is still in the realm of what we do, I will go look for somebody. I probably already networked with them and we bring them in.
So do you, the clients that you work with, do you create bespoke packages for them, or do they buy okay, so they don't buy like a block of hours. It's kind of,
it's most of my clients do not. They pay for specific services, or we create a package for them. I do have clients that just, we want everything that you do, and we want 20 hours this month because they want everything. Julius, do you have a 1099 model or a W-2 business model? We actually have both. I spent a lot of time talking to an accountant and to a lawyer and really deciding how I wanted to lay out my business. And I realized that with W-2 employees, and I saw this when I worked in IT, their skill level starts to decrease over time. Where a 1099 employee, because they have their own clients 99% of the time, and I actually won't hire somebody that doesn't have their own clients. That is part of something I'm always looking for when I'm hiring somebody. They're always trying to stay up on what's new, and I encourage that full day of learning and stuff. And we spend a lot of time as an employer. I know I'm not really an employer, but for my 1099s, we have that one day a week. We all have that same one day a week that we're learning. And a lot of times we're doing co-working calls while we're doing that learning so that we can hop on, hey, did you just hear because we're sharing that knowledge. One, I think that's some of the best time that we have as a team is we're on that co-working call. I think half of it is we're still all in our pajamas drinking coffee or Red Bull in the morning. We're talking about what we're learning. We check in and we all stop for lunch. It's a community feeling, which you don't get often when you're working remotely at home. And we learn from each other. We learn a lot from each other. One of my employees taught me something yesterday about Instagram. I'm an Instagram strategist, and she taught me something I didn't know yesterday. I was like, how did I not know that? I didn't catch that anywhere. She's like, I just found it in a blog somewhere and tested it out. It worked. Awesome.
Wow.
So I don't care where you are in your business, there's always something new to learn. So having that community learning process is huge for us. And by everybody being 1099s, they have their own customers to keep happy, their own customers to learn from and teach and be pleasing. So it works a lot. Now my W-2 employees one is my OBM, because I need somebody with a very high trust level that falls under my insurance, all of that. She has to do that. I own 5 businesses right now, and she needs to really be overall, well, she has to keep track of me too. So I'm not going to lie. Somebody needs to babysit me. So doing that allows me to really control that process and have, like I said, the insurance and the risk factor and all of that's covered. The other W-2 is a graphic designer because we needed them too much for them to have other clients. So we bring them on. But we can do W-2. I've chosen to not go that way and to find my employees other places. So what was the process of finding and vetting your contractors? One, bartering first. I bartered with every single one of them. And it's not that I mind paying them for a test thing. And I have a couple that I've paid for like one test project, that kind of thing. But you're not going to get hired full time until I've worked with you on some small things, until I can tell whether, well, not full time, part time, until I can tell whether you're going to, gel well with my team, because we really are a family. Like Julie says, we're a big family around here, and I think everybody on my team is ADHD or ASD or some combination thereof. So you have to have the patience to deal with all of us and to understand the community dynamics and work and fit well. And a lot of our clients are also ADHD. I attract ADHD clients apparently, and that's they're not the easiest clients to work with sometimes. So you have to be able to deal with that and enjoy the process of it, not just deal with it. So we do a lot of vetting and a lot of small projects and bartering and things like that. And I still do that even where I am now. And it's, like I said, it's not the money investment, it's the personality investment. That's a very, very big deal. Because at first I hired 5 very wrong people and they tried to take my business down.
Wow.
And that was completely on me. I put too much trust in people that I didn't spend enough time with.
Oh no. That sounds horrifying.
I had to learn.
You talked about clients. So did you ever kind of niche? I know that's a scary word, niche down to a specific industry or type of client?
No. I have chiropractors, and I have a dentist office, and I have a cigar company, and I have a CBD company, and we have coaches, and we have an accountant. We have a bookkeeping firm. So we're like really all over the place. I really have a hard time with the niche thing. Now, I will tell you, I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I coach people too. So I've learned that if you are going to stay a solo entrepreneur, and there is never anything wrong with that. Let me just say that. Scaling to an agency is not for anybody or for the faint of heart. Let me tell you. But so if you want to say a solo business owner, niching is going to make you profit faster if you do that, because you can really hone in on your audience. So there is definitely a huge plus of doing that. But you don't always have to. Like everybody says you have to. No, you don't. But you have to have very clear messages for your types of audience, though.
I love that. How do you find your clients right now?
Right now, I've actually partnered with a couple really large coaching. I want to call it a coaching system. They are coaches who have full teams with success coaches, all kinds of stuff, and they have brought us on as one of their key partners. So they're referring 5 to 10 new clients to us a month.
Great.
So I don't really need to go out and do stuff. We do have a sales team. I did hire a sales team. They are paid 100% on commission, and that works well as well for us. But they we're referral 99% of the time now. We don't really.
Every virtual assistant I've interviewed says they get most of their clients through referrals, and I love that. Yeah.
When you do well and you offer services with integrity, because nobody's perfect. I'm not saying offering the perfect services to the perfect client does not exist, because there is no perfect client and there are no perfect services. We're human. But offering them with integrity is where it lands. I mean, I had to, and I'm not going to lie, I had to refund somebody money this week because I let something fall through the cracks and forgot to tell my team to do it. Completely my fault. And I tried to fix it, and I should have just refunded her money right away. And I apologized. I said, I'm very sorry. It's completely my fault. I let this fall through the cracks. She only emailed me. She didn't email my team. And I thought somebody was handling. They didn't. So I had to refund somebody money. And she gave me a good review.
Oh, great. That's great.
Which surprised the heck out of me because I screwed up.
It's how you handle it in the end. Everyone screws up, but it's how you handle it afterwards that people remember. So how involved are you with your client projects?
I am still very much the face of the company. So I do all strategy calls with all of our clients, social media, marketing, business strategy, operations, all of that. I do that with all of the clients. Any coaching that needs to be done with clients. I do a lot of CEO training, teaching business owners how to be the CEO of their own business. I do all of that. Everything else, I don't touch buttons anymore. I have a team that does all of that. That took me until 2 months ago to step back because I was having a hard time letting go of the control of that.
Yeah. What finally gave you the push to actually let go, to step back?
I actually hired myself a clarity coach.
Okay.
So I am a business coach. I work with, and I can she repeats my words back to me, which I swear she's watching some of my coaching calls or something sometimes because she repeats my words back to me every time we meet. But I really needed somebody to take a look at what I was doing and say, whoa, hold on. This is where I see some areas that you could do some changes. This is where you're going to cause yourself problems. You're going to burn out. I needed somebody to take a look at what I was doing and give me that speech that I give my clients all the time because we don't see what we're doing wrong ourselves. And she actually pointed some things out for me that I could do to improve my team, which I thought I was really good and I was doing awesome. And she's like, no, you need to fix this and you need to fix this and you need to. My OBM does that a lot too, but
yeah,
she's been around a long time, but she, around me, that is. But
I love that.
hiring somebody to take a look at my business from outside and do that pie in the sky view of what I was doing and where I needed to change was a very big deal for me. And she's helped me over the last year step back more and put the things in place that I needed to feel comfortable knowing that everybody was doing what they needed to do.
I love that. So just to take it back a couple of steps. So we talked about clients and how you get most of your clients now through referrals. So do you presumably still do marketing?
Oh, yes,
right?
Absolutely. Well, I say that, but we recently rebranded to Organized Operations. Be Boss Girl LLC we've been operating under Be Boss Girl for 6 years, 7 years now.
Yes, that's how I knew you as Be Boss Girl.
Yes. And we, with the level of clients we're getting less coaches and more higher level professionals coming out of corporate, especially now over the last year or so, starting their own businesses and things. And we needed to grow up. So we have rebranded, and I decided to take a leap of faith and completely started social media completely from scratch for the rename instead of keeping our very large audience that we have with Be Boss Girl, because we needed to grow up and we needed to be less cutesy and kitschy and more very professional. So we have recently started over. I think I've got 3 posts on Organized Operations, but we do have full marketing team, social media, ads, LinkedIn ads, YouTube ads, all of that. We have all of that in the process or out there right now and are doing all of the things because it is important, because you just said, that's how I know you as. I know you as Be Boss Girl because I spent a lot of time developing that name. So being able to merge those together and having that brand recognition is huge. It's huge.
Yeah, because I used to see you in Facebook groups all the time. And whenever somebody wanted a VA, someone would always say, like, you have to go to Be Boss Girl. They have an amazing team. So that's how I know you. And it's so great that you recognize this opportunity now with like the Great Resignation and people leaving corporate, that there's a fantastic opportunity to help these newly kind of free post-corporate America business owners coming into this online space and growing their own businesses. And there's an amazing opportunity to go and support these people. And I love that you've jumped on that.
they're fun to work with.
Yeah.
Because those of us who have been in this space a long time don't really we've lost that fire. I mean, we've been here a long time, been there, done that. Yeah, whatever. But all of these new people coming in have always looked at people who do these stupid little online businesses. They're all about the same as doing an MLM. No, we aren't. And getting to watch them make that mental transition, as well as they're like, I have to stay at home. I can't go into an office anymore, or I can't keep earning that. I mean, they're piling more work on me, the stress. So watching them make that transition to our world is a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Before we wrap up, I have a few questions I need to ask you. I ask all of my business owners this. So you have come a really long way. You've been in this industry for so long. You've grown a 7-figure agency with a 14-person team. What do you think has contributed to your success the most?
Determination, confidence. I'm confident in my skills and again, that was the first step, getting confident, super confident in my skills, and being determined and not giving up when the first thing you try doesn't work.
Did you have, yeah, go ahead.
We've tried a sales funnel that didn't work, an ad that didn't work, whatever. We've all tried that stuff. I'm a professional, and we just had a launch for a client, and the ads were an epic failure. So we had to go back, review every single thing, and go, okay, where was the failure point? And being able to pull everything apart in little tiny analytical steps to figure out where the issue is. Determination. That's all it comes down to.
I love that. Picking yourself up when you fall down, when there's going to be so many bumps along the road, and it's not giving up after those first few bumps. It's just, there's always going to be bumps, whether you're in it for 2 months or 10 years. Okay. So knowing what you know now, is there anything you would have done differently at the start of your business?
This time around, I think one of the biggest things I didn't invest in is I wished I would have invested in hiring a coach to start. Let me rephrase that. A strategist to start, not a coach. Don't hire a business coach to start. Hire somebody that's going to be a direct correlation to making money to start. I am a coach, so I'm not knocking on coaches, but a business strategist to help you get all of the data points in line so that you don't make missteps as you're taking the next step. So you know what the next 10 steps out are going to be, so you're working towards them. And it's more than goal setting. It's what is the process behind what the next thing is that I need to do. I wished I would have hired that a little sooner instead of figuring that out myself. And again, I went to college for that, so I should know that, but doing it for myself is a very different process than doing it and telling a client what they can do.
Absolutely. So for those of us who are starting out, I don't know how many people in this group I recognize who are just at the beginning of their journey. I think you've already shared some really solid advice. Is there anything you would say for anyone who is just starting their business, hasn't had their first client yet, is kind of feeling a little hesitant about it all? Any advice to share for them?
So if you are just starting out and are looking for clients and you're struggling and you're feeling unsure, barter with somebody. Find somebody in this group and barter with them. Somebody who does the same exact thing as you. And that's where the first barter should be, is somebody who does the same exact thing with you, as you, so that you could both exchange the same services, because both of you are going to love it. I almost guarantee it. And two, a learning process. So if you're able to connect with somebody, barter with them, it will give you a little confidence to go after those ones that don't necessarily know you and know what you should offer.
I love that. Does anybody have any other questions for Danielle before I ask my final 2 questions? If you do, put them in the chat before we wrap up the conversation completely, because I'm going to go on to my next 2 questions while I wait for your guys' questions to come through, which is, okay, this is my favorite question to ask. Do you have a favorite tool?
It's a 50-50 split for me between Dubsado. Dubsado is freaking amazing. I love Dubsado, or Monday. And I know a lot of people starting out use Asana or Trello. Asana would be my next choice under Monday. Monday is an expensive tool, but it is pretty and so easy to set up and use. It makes me happy to see it because it's all color coded. So
is Monday's like interchangeable with Asana, right?
Semi, yes. And Monday does some things that Asana can't do. And it's prettier. It does it prettier. And I will admit that that's a big deal to me. Hence
it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. I'm an Asana girl myself, and I'm not like married to it. I'm open to other options and like, you know, testing things out. It's just like my whole life is on an Asana. Like the idea of moving everything over is kind of overwhelming. I won't do it. A lot of people kind of get stuck at that point. Don't you find that like, which one should I go for? Asana, Dubsado, Trello, not Dubsado, because that's not Asana, Trello, or something like that. And they get stuck on like which project management software. None of them is going to be perfect. You just pick one and you just make it work for you because I feel like they more or less all kind of do the same thing. Just pick one and go for it. ClickUp is great as well. Yes.
ClickUp is great. ClickUp is really good. I actually used ClickUp for quite a while until I moved to Monday. But I found I had clients that didn't understand ClickUp and it was difficult for them to be accessing. So that's why I don't use ClickUp. I would say the only two things that you need in a project management or task management is reminders. If you don't get email reminders, it's not helpful. And you have to understand how it works. If you don't understand how it works, you're not going to want to use it. So it doesn't matter what you use. I have a client who uses an Excel spreadsheet and she has connected her Google Drive to it so it sends her reminders. That's just what she uses. Because that makes her happy and she understands there's nothing wrong with that. There's no tool that's wrong for that. Just whatever works for you.
Absolutely. Danielle, it's been amazing chatting to you. Where can we go and stalk you and learn from you?
So I actually don't do things on Facebook any longer. I have a free group over on Mighty Networks, and that is organizedoperations.support. And we do monthly challenges and it's completely free to join. There are some paid areas in there, just so you know, just to warn you, but it is completely free to join over there. And it's myself, 2 other OBMs and a couple accountability coaches. And we're there to support you and answer your questions. We're really new. We closed the Facebook group down and moved over there like a month ago. So we don't have a whole lot of participation yet, but we are ramping it up for 2022.
Ooh, yeah, you've already got one new member, Julie. You'll be joining. Is it organizedoperations.support?
Support. Organizedoperations.support. I'll type it in here in the comments.
Perfect. And you're on Instagram as Organized Operations?
I'm on Instagram as Organized Operations.
Perfect.
And I hang out on Facebook a lot still, so I'm around.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us, Danielle. And thank you everybody. Julie, LS, I'm sorry, I don't know who LS is. And everybody else who's watching the live or the replay. Thank you so much, guys. And I will see you very soon. Thank you, Danielle.
Have a great day.
Bye.